Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to hand over in a moment to Martin from simPRO, who can do a much better job of introducing himself and the other panelists today. I just want to say thanks for joining us. Do a bit of housekeeping. Make sure you know what buttons to click, what not to click. If you have any problems with us today, if there's any problems with the sound or anything like that, or the sort of video slowing down, then you just make sure you sort of close Zoom and you can open it back up in the link that you were provided in the email. Hopefully you shouldn't have any issues. I think we're all okay this side. So hopefully it should be a smooth ride. Just a couple of housekeeping bits. You should see at the bottom of your screen a chat box and a chat function. And a Q&A box. Just pop something in there. Let us know you can hear us, see us, make sure it's working okay. It's always a good start to know that we're not just chatting to ourselves on these things, and just to see that people are coming through properly. We can see lots of people are starting to come through now, which is good. See people loading on, which is always a good start. So yeah, just pop something in the chat box in there to let us know that you can see us. As we're going along today as well, please feel free to put any questions that you've got about the webinar into the Q&A box as we're going along. I know Martin and the team might pick up some of those as we go along, but if not, what we'll do is we'll make sure we try and get all of your questions in at the end, and if we've run out of time and any run over, we can do a follow-up as well. We are recording the webinar today, so I know sometimes you might need to jump off. You've got a call, you've got kids that might be grabbing your attention, whatever it may be. So we are recording this today, and we'll send out a follow-up sort of 24, 48 hours after as well, just to with some links, content, and a follow-up of the recording. As well. So you've heard enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Martin and simPRO, who is going to go through, introduce his panelists, Louise and Ryan, and the topic of today. Over to you, Martin.
That's great. Thank you, David. So welcome, everyone, and delighted to be joined by Ryan Piercy and Louise Banks. So I work for simPRO. I'm a partner manager, and I work with accountants to help them and their clients with simPRO and what we offer. So over to you, Ryan, to introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Martin. So my name's Ryan Piercy. I am a director at Scrutton Bland, which is a firm in East Anglia. I head up what we call our systems advisory service. So all about helping small and medium-sized businesses bring in cloud technology and help kind of streamline their processes. And also, I'm a chartered accountant, so I've worked with a family and owner-managed businesses for over 14 years now.
That's great, thank you, Ryan. And if you could introduce yourself, please, Louise.
Yeah, good morning, Martin, everybody else. I'm Louise. I am a director at Fastrack Site Investigations, which is a family firm started by my father back in the 90s. I started working in the business about 2005. Became a director along with our managing director in 2011, and we are a geotechnical services company, and we work mainly for subsidence insurers, developers, architects.
That's great, thank you, Louise. So let's take a quick look at today's agenda. I won't read it all out, but we're going to find out a bit more about Scrutton Bland and Fastrack and what they do. Also, what it means to specialise an accounting practice, the challenges that clients can face, how digital transformation can help them. And please feel free to ask questions as we go along. We look forward to answering them as we go through. Okay, so firstly, this section is going to be about learning a little bit about Scrutton Bland and a little bit about Fastrack from Ryan and Louise, and then for them to explain a little bit about their relationship, how that started, and where they are on their journey now.
Cool, thanks, Martin. So I guess I'll elaborate on a bit earlier. So yes, Scrutton Bland, an East Anglian firm, so mostly based around North Essex and South Suffolk. 100-year-old firm, 101, I believe now. We celebrated our 100th anniversary a couple of years ago in the summer. We're a full service firm, so we do normal accounts, tax compliance. We've got a financial planning arm. We also have an insurance arm, which is a bit different. But yeah, I guess where we differentiate and where we kind of focus is that owner managed business space. So anything from kind of 500,000 upwards, although, you know, we've got lots of small clients and some listed ones from an audit perspective. But I guess how we try to differentiate ourselves at Scrutton Bland is we're very technology focused. We're kind of looking forward, trying to make sure we are at the front line in what we're providing. And as part of that, we've developed a dedicated systems advisory team where we help small and owner-managed businesses bring in cloud technology to basically make themselves more efficient, be able to work more flexibly, and also to generate better business insights. And part of that work, and I guess a client in part of that process has been Louise at Fastrack, and I guess I'll hand over to her to do a bit of an introduction to her business.
Okay, again, you can see a few details on the screen. So Fastrack was originally started by my dad, as I said, back in the 90s. He then retired in 2011, and I stepped in and took over the family firm with just me as the only family member left. It had a non-family MD that we brought in to help me run it. And as most children, I decided to come in and change everything my dad had done. So we made a step to try and grow the business. And part of that was changing our accountants, which I'm not sure my original accountant or my dad were particularly pleased about. We moved from quite a traditional accountant, and we felt as we were growing and we wanted to drive the business forward, we needed more than just an accountant. We needed somebody to help us drive that growth. We needed someone that could help with all the peripheral services, and that's where Scrutton Bland came in. I did go and see 4 or 5 other firms at the time, but we just felt that Scrutton Bland were the best match for us then, and it's proved to be successful. And the relationship with Ryan and the rest of his team has helped us move forward. We've seen a lot of changes for IT going through that, which has helped massively with the pandemic. And yeah, so we implemented Xero in March 19, having moved to Scrutton Bland, and then shortly after that, simPRO followed.
That's great, thank you, Louise. And what were the main challenges you had before you started to work with simPRO as well?
Okay, so when myself and Martin first took over, we were quite traditional based. So we had everything on an Excel spreadsheet. Job management was all through Excel. Everything was very much paper-based, paper files everywhere. more space being taken up in the office by files and staff, I think. And that led to quite a few issues with paperwork going missing. Obviously, GDPR started coming in, so paper files started to become an issue anyway. The oversight over jobs and just the cumbersome nature of having your entire job book on an Excel file. And between 2005, when I first started, to 2011, and then up to 2018, our workload increased 3- to 4-fold. So it was just getting to the point that we couldn't work with it in the way that it was.
That's great. Thank you. Great to get that insight, Louise. So I'll tell you a little bit about simPRO now, and we'll start with our story, which is a really good one. We were started by a gentleman called Steve, who was an electrical contractor, originally based in Blackpool, moved to Brisbane. Well, as he started his electrical contractor business in Brisbane, he had the same challenges that he had in Blackpool, all around the process and spending too much time working in the business as opposed to on the business. So he teamed up with a gentleman called Vaughan, who was an engineering student who had a flair for developing software, to help Steve systemize his business. And what started out as something to help Steve's business has grown. So we've now got 7,000 businesses running on simPRO worldwide. Our headquarters is in Brisbane. In the UK, we've got offices in Cambridgeshire. We've got over 70 employees in the UK, and over 150,000 people are using simPRO every day worldwide. So what do we do? Well, we're a single platform for field service businesses to run their projects, their service work, and their maintenance jobs. We're all about connecting the office to the field on that single platform. So all the heavy lifting of the business is done within simPRO, and then the relevant information is ready to be passed over to the accounting package, for example, Xero, that the business uses. It also enables in real time businesses to understand where they're making money and where they're losing money. Okay, so who do we work with? Well, looking on the screen, you may recognize some of these industry sectors where you may have clients, or you may work in these sectors yourself. So we're laser focused on plumbing firms, electrical contractors, people installing, servicing, maintaining security systems, fire systems, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Our workflows also fit with a number of other industries that you can see on the screen as well. Okay, so we're all about that end-to-end platform. So the workflows all the way through from when a lead comes into a business to when the work needs to be scheduled, all the way through to invoicing, and then the relevant information is passed over to Xero, for example. And there's a wealth of reporting within simPRO to see job productivity, managing suppliers, and so on. Okay, so we've got a fantastic partner program that we're really proud of. We've now got 300 partners worldwide, and we work with accountants, business consultants, IT consultants, and also people in the supply chain, like wholesalers as well. So partnering with simPRO, for example, for an accountancy firm, gives an opportunity to differentiate how you can help your clients. It helps strengthen your position in the industry with a solution that can help those industries that I showed. If you think about the electrical contractors, the plumbers, and so on and so forth. But also we give access to accountants to their client simPRO build, so they can get real-time financial insights that can help with their advisory services for those clients. Okay, so now we're going to take a look actually at the software, just a high-level walkthrough. I just need to move my screen around, and hopefully this will all go without any glitches. Okay, please bear with me a moment. Apologies, I had a little challenge there. Hopefully I can resolve that very quickly. Okay, can you just tell me if you can see my screen, Ryan?
You can't see it just yet, Martin.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got that now. We can see your web page.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Apologies for that, everyone. Okay, so this is the login screen for simPRO, and simPRO is set up with different security groups. As you can see, this is my login. So people only see what's relevant to them in the business when they log into simPRO. So simPRO is an off-the-shelf software solution, but it is always implemented by our implementation consultants, and we hold our customers' hands to get simPRO set up in the best possible way for them. So we're going to dive straight in to, just like I say, have a quick high-level look through. So here we can see, or we're coming in to see the service dashboard. So this would be particularly useful, say, if you think of the operations managers within a business. And here we can see where everyone is. Where are they today? Where are the jobs happening? Where are the employees? Where are the contractors? Where's the plant and equipment for the business? This is status driven. So you can see, for example, if it's in yellow, it means that the invoice has already been paid for that job. Green is saying that someone is live and on site. So it's a great view of where everyone is. The next to the dashboards is the accounts dashboard, simply showing what money's owed to the business, how many days is it overdue, and simPRO can act as a credit control engine, by automating when emails are sent out. Say an invoice is due in 7 days, it's already due, or maybe if it's 30 days or more, a slightly stronger email can be sent out to the customer to chase for payment. And you can see all the details relevant here, the job and number of days overdue. So with job management software like simPRO, the power is really in connecting the office to the field. So the guys in the field know where they need to go, the jobs they need to be on, but also it's showing, is the business making money? And if they're losing money, where are they losing it and why? So for example, for this project here, it could be that margin is lower than a customer expects. They can just click into that job. Maybe extra hours have been associated with that job that haven't been marked to be billed, or there's been a change in the project that can be addressed in real time, as opposed to at the end of the month or the end of the year, or when the job's completed. And the last of the dashboards is my favorite one. It's the sales thermometer of the business. What's the target? What's been invoiced this month? And within simPRO, different cost centers can be set up so you can see the performance of the installation side of the business, the design side, the maintenance side, for example. So the reason for showing those dashboards is hopefully you can see in 3 or 4 clicks, our customers can have full visibility of their operations. So simPRO is all about removing the paperwork in the business. So instead of having post-it notes on a desk, the reminders are within the software. We operate on a rapid release cycle. We have software updates every 2 weeks and major updates every 3 months. And this is simply where we tell our customers about those updates. Alerts is one of the most popular features within simPRO, and that's just ensuring that the ball never gets dropped. So is there a customer contract that needs to be reviewed? Is there an invoice that needs to be approved to be sent out? Is there stock that needs to be replenished in any of the fleet of vehicles that the business has? So that's that there. And then what I'll quickly do is just show you the workflow, which is very clear and straightforward. It's just a lead comes into the business, then a quote needs to be generated, and there are 2 different types of quotes. There's service quotes for those short-term reactive piece of work, project quotes, as the name suggests, for those larger jobs that could be over multiple sites, involving multiple contractors, and that's somewhere where simPRO really excels. The schedules, you can look at where is everyone today, this week, this month. We integrate with Microsoft 365 and Google Suite as well. So we recommend our clients manage their daily activities, including holiday. There's reporting within simPRO that can show the job productivity. So how many billable hours are there per engineer, for example. simPRO is great for materials management. As part of the setup for simPRO, catalogs get uploaded from different suppliers, so accurate, up-to-date pricing is ready for the quoting. Purchase orders are generated within simPRO and receipted. There can be pre-builds, so for example, for a boiler installation, it can have the relevant materials, so you've got that template to start the quotation and to save time. And then when the job's done, or the stage of the job's complete where an invoice needs to be generated, that's all done within simPRO, and then the relevant information gets pushed across to the accounting package. So we can handle also supplier invoices, contractors, retentions, variations, which is great. Also recurring invoices, for example, for maintenance businesses, those can be set up within there. In terms of the reporting, we got around about 65 reports now. These are some of the most popular ones. So job activity, price discrepancies. This is great for checking, okay, a supplier said the price would be X, but they've actually invoiced Y. That can quickly be handled and resolved within simPRO. If those reports aren't enough, these 65, we also have business intelligence reporting, which is where our clients or our partners can generate their own reports, and they can be sent through at 9 o'clock on a Monday or 5 o'clock on the Friday, whichever they prefer. So simPRO's always implemented. I mentioned it's off the shelf, and I'll just quickly show you what an implementation can look like. It tends to take between 4 to 6 working days, scheduled over a period of 4 to 6 weeks. We work hard to get our clients live between 60 to 90 days from when they sign with us. And this is the stage here at the project kickoff, where a lot of our accountants get involved and join that discovery session to help make sure that simPRO is set up in the best possible way for their client. Okay. Okay, so simPRO is really comprehensive. It's end to end. It integrates with the accounting packages, and all the heavy lifting is covered within simPRO. So that was just a very high level overview of simPRO. I hope that was useful, and apologies for my technical challenges that I had along the way, and hopefully I won't have any more.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Martin. That was really good. I'm just wondering, following on from that, if anyone's got any questions or anything that they want to follow up with Martin while he's here. If not, we'll carry on and let Martin continue and do some more questions at the end.
That's brilliant. Excellent.
Stuff.
So how does specialising your services work in practice? So it'd be great, Ryan, to have a deeper dive into how Scrutton Bland work with businesses like Fastrack and help them with key apps to support and enhance their business. But actually, firstly, let's hear from Louise at Fastrack Site Investigation to understand her challenges before going digital with the help of Scrutton Bland.
Martin, thank you. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, when I first moved into Acova, everything was pretty much paper-based and Excel-based. We were facing issues with costly revisits, with paperwork going missing, which meant that we had no option but to go and do further surveys. So a little bit of an insight into what we do. We do geotechnical site investigations, so that involves our teams going out to sites, drilling boreholes, recovering samples, logging what they find in those boreholes, logging profiles of foundations of properties, and doing CCTV surveys of drainage. So as you can imagine, it's quite a lot of paperwork potentially that can go missing. Each job is a minimum of half a day's work for 2 team members. So if we have to revisit those, it's a significant financial impact, and that was causing quite a lot of issues. As we began to get busier, you mentioned not dropping balls. Well, balls were certainly dropping left, right, and centre at one point. As our turnover increased and our workload increased, we went from people being able to carry jobs in their heads, knowing where things were, to that just not being physically possible, which meant staff were getting stressed. Clients were calling up to ask for updates on their jobs. You couldn't access the data particularly quickly, which meant either clients were hanging around on the phone or we were having to call them back. We didn't have any oversight really of what the workload was. There was no easy way of tracking diaries and where the team members were, what their efficiency was. So there were quite a few issues, to be honest, Martin, that we needed to address.
No, that's great. That's great. So no, thanks very much. And that was great to hear what life was like before simPRO was implemented with Fastrack. So thank you, Louise. So now we'd like to take a deeper dive into how Scrutton Bland provide digital transformation as a service to your clients. So Ryan, as a practice, you've taken the next step to create a cloud department specifically to help clients with digital transformation. What are the benefits you're seeing to niching your accountancy practice?
Well, I guess a lot of this came out the back end of making tax digital. So through having to kind of assess our client base and help them transition onto digital tools, we ended up having, I guess, normal members of our accountancy team having to get involved in tech. And what we were finding is we were providing, I guess, a range of quality of service. and it just wasn't at the same level that we would want to be providing to our general clients. So to get over that, we created a small team that would specialise in transitioning businesses, but also advising them on what's out there. And we named that Systems Advisory, and that's been going officially for nearly 2 years now. And that's grown into something where we actually have generated a year-on-year basis around 70,000 in additional fees, purely on helping clients transition onto cloud-based technology. Now, we do that in a very bespoke way. I'll talk through in a bit how we've helped Fastrack, but we have an all-encompassing service which we can basically assess a business's processes and advise them on what tech's best for them, or we can just be basic consultants that sit in the background and recommend a tool that may be of help. And what we've found is actually that's made a much deeper relationship with our clients. We're now not only looking and working with them at a year end or at set periods throughout the year. It's a lot more of a fluid conversation, which I guess has helped us and our clients actually drive our businesses forward. So we're providing more services. We've generally got more fees, but our clients also have the ability to come to us for a far-ranging, query bank, anything that they may have concerns over. But from the system side specifically, and I guess digital transformation, creating a team was the key thing, because it enabled us to focus our skill set into one key area. And just as we do in any other service we're providing, we can hold that team accountable and make sure we're providing the service at a very high level. So hopefully, Martin, that's kind of answered the question that you asked. But if there's anything specific you want me to elaborate on, please let me know.
No, that's great. I mean, since you've added these additional services, I mean, what's your clients' responses been? Obviously positive because of the amount of additional work you've picked up. But do you have any examples or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it does range. So there's clients that are, I guess, more timid when it comes to change or technology. And so a lot of that is actually just about change management and kind of overcoming their qualms about, changing their process. So there's been completely new skill sets we've had to learn regarding that. But there's also ones that, really value what we do. And what we thought was just providing a one-off service, which has become an ongoing relationship where anything technical, they come to us. And by technical, I mean from an IT perspective, they come to us. It may not be that they're looking for an answer, but they're bouncing off an idea. Like, if we look at this, what impact does that have on how we operate? So from an overall point of view, it's been very positive. And the other side of it is actually we have this as a differentiator now. We're, I guess, in the East Anglia region, one of only a few businesses that operate this. And so when we talk to new clients, we're not just talking about what we can do for them from an accountancy perspective, or tax compliance or tax advisory perspective, but how can we help you transform how you operate using technology so you have a deeper relationship with your advisors and a deeper relationship with your customers and suppliers. So it's a completely different mindset in how we actually go out and talk to new businesses. So that, from what we're finding, is great in helping to win new work, but also great in helping us provide a better service to those clients we bring in. We're not just talking about end of year now, we're talking about full-on service from the get-go.
That's great. Thank you, Ryan. So, I mean, and how does the services you're offering help the bottom line? And so how do you price up this type of work?
Okay, so that has definitely been a challenge, pricing this, because obviously it's pretty new. There's not many businesses doing this to kind of benchmark against. And admittedly, it was kind of finger in the air at first. What kind of fits? How long do we think this will take? But how we generally price is value pricing. So what we're doing is going, what are we providing to the client? How will that help? And from that, what do we think the price should be? Obviously, we're looking to obviously make a recovery. Sometimes we don't, because we're just trying to help our client, and it's an ongoing service. But we generally find it evens out over time. So pricing is definitely a challenge. Probably one of the biggest challenges for this, because there's nothing to follow. Sorry, what was the other part of your question, Martin? I just
Okay.
rambled on pricing.
And in terms of around, and this may be related to potential new clients as well, do you need to charge a deposit for this work? How does that work?
Okay, so we break up pricing down to 3 sections generally on our full service. But it's every time we feel that we're providing value. So we do an assessment of processes at one stage, and we send basically a fee out when we're doing that, and then we provide a report, and then we have a follow-up consultation, and we're kind of pricing and doing invoicing in stages as we go through. So stage invoicing. But actually, touching back to what you're saying about the value for our clients, a key thing that we operate, a key tenet for how we provide our service, is about business insights. Everything that we're looking to provide, any system that we're recommending, is about what insights are we getting out for that business in the back end to drive their decision making, and all about in real time. So not looking at this in arrears once you've had to send information to your accountant, but what can you see on dashboards and in reports in real time that can help you drive your business forward. That is the key area that we focus on. And if we're recommending something, and we don't think it's going to, I guess, drive those business insights, or you can't get them in the long run, there's a massive caveat that this is not going to drive your business forward. So every app that we partner with, it has those insights, or the ability to plug in tools in that give the business that the key information that they've not had at their fingertips, as I guess Louise was alluding to in what she said earlier.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for the insights there, Ryan. So the next, what I want to ask you about, Ryan, is how do you go about choosing your perfect app stack?
Well, I guess the key answer to that is I don't believe there is a perfect app stack. I think cloud technology is changing so quickly nowadays that you have to be able to pivot. I was actually in a conversation earlier with an app about one that we've partnered with for 5 years. We were talking about potential switches. Doesn't mean we will, doesn't mean we won't, but it's keeping your mind open to not just adopting something and sticking with it forever. Always challenge what you've got in place. That's how we operate. That said, I think the best way to work is to have first your finance system like as a core. Pick one that you want to partner with and learn that. Doesn't mean that you can't work with others, but learn that one in real depth. Then move into expense management and into reporting. So kind of up and down, what's going into the finance system, what's coming out the other end. And then once you've done that, niche into some industries, sectors. So find a specific industry app that works really well and has a broad range, and work with them. And that's what we've done with simPRO.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Ryan. And Louise, so how did Scrutton Bland work with you to determine which apps you should implement at Fastrack?
I think one of the key things Ryan mentioned there was that ongoing relationship, as opposed to a traditional accountant where you literally see them once, perhaps twice a year to do your final accounts and get them submitted. That's not how Scrutton Bland works, and that is one of the biggest reasons that we moved to them. When I first started taking over, I was relatively young, very inexperienced, and felt completely like a duck out of water. So to have Ryan and his team there to be able to go to bounce ideas off of, as he said, just for a little bit of support, peace of mind that you were making right decisions, that was really helpful. So when we first moved to Scrutton Bland, I was partially home working already, and our accounts package at the time I was having real issues with data corruption, losing my data, and the connection just being terrible. So Ryan recommended that I move to Xero, which I was quite nervous about to start with, because I think we all like what we know, don't we? And taking a leap into the unknown can be quite worrying. But Ryan managed the process for us. I really didn't do very much. I just had to complete a quarters of accounts, and he stepped in and converted everything over for us, which was excellent. And it was one of the best decisions we've made. And that was perhaps the start of the journey with our move into the digital realm. So we got everything onto Xero, which meant the accountants can now see everything, which was brilliant. And then off the back of that, we had been looking for perhaps 4 or 5 years for a platform to manage our job management. We are quite a difficult industry to find something like that for. We're not really construction industry. We are a technical surveyor, and there are no platforms suited for that. So we tried out various systems over the years that are supposed to work to the construction industry. None of them fitted what we needed. We were using perhaps 5% of the platform. As a small business, it wasn't really financially viable for us to have our own platform created for us. The budget just wasn't there for that. And following the move to Xero, that's when Ryan and Scrutton Bland recommended simPRO. And the huge benefit of simPRO was, as you were alluding to earlier, that it is just so customizable that we can turn on and off the bits that we need and we don't need. We haven't got employees, staff, clients looking at the platform with lots of different pages that they don't need and becoming overwhelmed and confused. They just see what they need to. And we've got complete control over that. And it is adaptable. So we've been able to, over time, we certainly don't use it to its full potential even now, but over the time we've had it, we've slowly switched on new parts as we've got used to working the way we are. Then we find something else that it can provide that we then turn on to. And that all came out of the relationship with Ryan and Scrutton Bland and saying, this product's there, we weren't aware of the product, and they were able to say, well, let's give this a try.
Well, do you mind if I just jump in?
Yeah,
I think Louise being very modest there, which she says we kind of did everything from the Xero transition. I think the key thing from our aspect is just setting out very early on who's responsible for what and what the timeline will be. And we've been able to do that by, I guess, handling enough conversions to understand what can or can't go wrong and building buffers in. But the whole thing is, you know, it's a working relationship. If both parties meet what they need to do, it can be very smooth, but you do need to devote time and resource to that. From the other side, when we're kind of moving towards apps beyond Xero and talking about simPRO, Louise is perfectly summed it up, is it's a journey. Don't expect to do everything at once. It's all about getting the core right and then building upon that over time. And we had a very hands-off approach in working with Louise and Fastrack. In essence, they kind of knew what they wanted to do, understood how they worked, and was trying to find the right system for that. And for just conversations, really, we could point them in the right direction. But we, as I said earlier, we tailor our service. So there's not really much of a cost involved in that. And from our perspective, we've built up awareness in what, I guess, of app marketplaces, being that Xero or, you know, or QuickBooks Online or Sage, to understand what is possible. So then if there is a question, we can make a recommendation. But we do have a full-on service where we go into lots more detail. And those are for those businesses that don't really understand how they work and what they're looking for. They know they've got problems, but they don't know how to resolve those. And from that, there's a lot of caveats you have to kind of build in, and you really have to understand the process inside of business to deliver those recommendations. And we've learned from past experiences that you can't just say this is the right solution for you, because every business operates fundamentally differently, and there's key nuances in those that may mean an app will or won't work. And it's down to either the business or the accountant or systems advisor to find those, but understanding whose responsibility is and setting that out from the outset is key. And I believe in from how it's worked with Louise and Fastrack, I think that understanding was there from the get-go, which is important. So I've rambled now.
No, that's great insights there. So basically, it's a very consultative, adaptable process that you've adopted. So no, that's great to get that insight. And Louise, you have explained some of the benefits already, but if there was one key benefit that you've seen within your business after implementing simPRO and Xero, what would that be?
The overwhelming benefit is just having oversight of the workflow. So we can now track every single job, every single visit from the moment it's instructed through the site investigation process, through our laboratory and the testing process, out the other side, through invoicing and to the client. And one of the other huge benefits, particularly having come through COVID, is the fact that it is all cloud-based. We get audited by our insurer. A lot of our clients are big major insurers. They audit us on an annual basis. to make sure that we are performing as they expect us to perform. One of the common comments was how quickly we were able to adapt to COVID and to the pandemic. There are other suppliers in our workspace who haven't made it through the pandemic because they weren't agile enough to adapt. And the comments that we had back were that there were no hiccups, that we were able to immediately deal with home working because everything was in the cloud.
So that really demonstrates that the work you put in to get simPRO and Xero up and running in place really has been key to how your business is performing.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Great, thank you. So next we're going to move on to some top tips. So, I mean, it's been great to hear a real life example of the effect digital transformation has on both an end client and also an accountancy practice. So, Louise, how is life now for Fastrack? What improvements have you seen? And what advice would you give to others thinking about making the move to a cloud-based software like simPRO and Xero?
So life is simpler. There's less firefighting going on, so that's much better. We've dealt with all the issues we faced around GDPR. Clients can access their data in a safe manner. We don't get so many phone calls from clients anymore chasing things up because they can log into the system too. They can see at what stage their job is. I think one of the main tips I would have for the journey is to engage with your business advisor, your Ryan. Engage with that person, because if you're on this journey on your own, there will be hiccups, there will be issues. You will have staff that don't want to change. You'll have people that buck against it, and having someone like Ryan to talk to, who has been through it before, seen it, done it, and just to ask their advice to find the best way through, it is really helpful.
That's great. Thank you very much, Louise. And Ryan, how have your other clients embraced going digital?
Well, I guess there's quite a range on that. So there's been some that, you know, they're kind of being forced kicking and screaming into a digital mindset purely because from a compliance and making tax digital perspective, their old way of doing things was not compliant. That said, although that first hurdle of getting them on the system, generally every single client within 2 to 3 months of using a system wonders how they're operating without it before, because it does fundamentally change how they operate. The key thing is, though, that they do have to change their processes. They do have to adapt to working with the system. You try and force how you work onto a different system, it's not going to work for you. And that message is incredibly important. But actually, you know, we've got 80+% of our clients now on cloud-based technology to some extent. And, you know, they I guess, over, firstly, they're making tax digital transition, but then over lockdown and COVID, key thing is they've not been significantly impacted by that requirement to work from home in the side that they've put onto the cloud, because it enabled them to work from anywhere. A perfect example was a charity we were working with that they were working on an old MS-DOS based system back in at the early parts of 2019. They were working with us to transition onto a system that had a recommendation to go onto a server or desktop based system, but they reached out to us because of our expertise on cloud. And we recommended utilizing Xero as a core, but also some systems like that. And we managed to get that in just before lockdown hit. And they constantly say, and they don't understand how they would have been able to operate without it, because they would not have been able to get into the office. They would not have been able to remote onto that machine. They would not have been able to complete their work. But the key thing for us, from what we've seen with clients, is once they're on cloud, they then want to progress on that journey of adopting more cloud technology and adopting more of their processes into that integrated data flow. So an integrated system such as simPRO into Xero, because one, it means your data is more reliable because you're not having to copy and paste from one to the other. It's more timely because it's going across immediately. You're not having to wait for someone to process it. And it means you can get a lot more out of it. You can look at information in different ways, one inside the operation package, but also splice it in a different way in your finance system and get out the other end if you need forecasts or cash flows that enable you to then bring those changes back into your operation system. So it becomes a constant flow of tweaking how you operate.
That's great. Thank you, Ryan. And just to ask specifically around simPRO, why did you make the decision to add it to your stack? And what benefits did you see, or do you see, that would help your trade clients?
Okay, so I guess from an official partnership point of view, simPRO was more of an kind of an evolution, because we had a number of clients that was in similar pain points, having similar pain points as Louise, and simPRO kind of set itself apart in that space. There wasn't really any, I guess, competitors that had that full-on operation side, that ability to turn on, turn off. You had ones down the smaller market, but when you come to the complexity that's needed regarding stock, regarding management of process, and trying to bring that into one area, simPRO set itself apart there. So there was lots of businesses in different industries, or different industries within the sector that we could recommend, and they were all going through that same pain point. So I think we've now got 5 clients that work with simPRO, and obviously as we transitioned 1 or 2 on, it made sense for us to partner, because we have a much deeper relationship with you then, and how you work at simPRO, to make sure that actually how that implementation flow occurred was actually more tailored to that business. And we kind of brought down what I call the after support period. So we reduced that, because if you get the system set up correctly, that tweaking that generally happens once the system's in place can be far reduced. And that was actually what our focus was. Make sure we were front loading, I guess, the tailoring of the system, so that the tweaking of it afterwards wasn't as needed.
No, that's great. Thank you, Ryan. And yeah, it's great for us to work with you and the team that's got that experience of helping on the client side, as well as very kindly recommending us to your clients as well. So also, Ryan, are there any key tips you'd give to other accountancy practices thinking about digital transformation as a service?
Definitely. So I guess first key tip is centralize it. When we try to do it as part of just our general service, people are busy. They get dragged away from this. This wouldn't be a key focus for them, and they wouldn't specialize in it. So they wouldn't get the deep enough understanding to actually recommend the right tools. So centralization is key, and get people that are passionate about it. There's enough people, I guess, out there that have embraced cloud. Pick people that are passionate about it, and talk to them and see if this is something they'd like to drive forward. The other areas, I guess, or top tips in this is segment your clients, understand what industries and sectors they're in, and pick some apps that work in those that actually have, I guess, you've got a lot of clients in. So for us, obviously, simPRO worked because it covers quite a broad range of different industry sectors. And the pain points our clients were feeling, it just fit well. It wasn't something we had to really force. It just naturally came about. There's some other areas we've kind of focused on. So we've looked at e-commerce a bit, but property is another area. We just picked a handful. Don't try and do everything at once. Pick a few, get good at those, and get your process right, and then you can kind of build on it from there.
That's great. Thank you, Ryan. So thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you, Louise. It's been great speaking with you both, and I've learned a lot during the course of this session. And now we have the Q&A session, so it's the turn of the audience to ask any questions you may have.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Martin. Yeah, if you've got any questions, put them in now as well. While we're just giving everybody a chance to do that. Just a reminder as well that we'll be sending a follow-up round with some links, as well as a recording of the webinar today as well. So if you've got any colleagues or anything like that couldn't jump on today, then you can share that with them, and then some useful links as well in terms of the follow-up that Martin was going through. So I think at the moment it seems like you've done a good job of answering everything, guys. Got no questions, which is good. Oh, here we go. Now you've got a couple coming through now. Okay, so Martin, I'll throw a couple of questions at you that have come through. So do you show accountants and partners the system and provide training once they sort of sign up with you as a partner? And do you have any other content that you can help them with to provide to their clients, like information leaflets and so on and so forth?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much for the question. So yeah, what we would generally do is set up like a discovery call or a walkthrough of simPRO with an accountancy firm, firstly, just to talk through in a bit more detail about the software, but also explain about our partner program and how that works. We would also, we can provide information on our partner program, but we would generally walk through that sort of on a call like this or in person. What we would also do, is certainly give accountants good insight into simPRO, what's important. We'd help explain how to find clients that are a good fit for simPRO, because we're really niche. It's really important to find the right types of companies. But yeah, we've got a full partner program that we can talk through, and if anyone would like further details, please let me know. It'd be great to jump on a call with you, and equally I can share information on a partner program over email as well.
Brilliant, that's great. Thanks for that, Martin. What we'll do as well is, if you share some of those links with us, we can make sure we send it out to everybody in the follow-up, so they've got that, which we can do. We've got a question from Brendan, doing a bit of a deep dive, so you might not have the answers, all of the answers to this one now, but within simPRO, can you basically track serial numbers of products both sold to customers and then installed at client sites? You might not know the answer to that off the top of your head, but
okay, so assets can be tracked within simPRO, and yes, information on those assets, including serial numbers, can be tracked. So yes, we can.
Brilliant. There you go, Brendan. And thanks for that, Martin. And I think that's all our questions for today. So thanks, Martin. Thanks, Ryan and Louise as well for today. It's really been informative. And I love a good demo as well. It's nice to dive into the system and see how it works and see how it goes. So thanks for that. And thanks for everybody jumping on today. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Hope the rest of your week is good as well. And we'll hopefully see you all again soon.
Thanks.